Hello, welcome. So we just start the session now, so welcome.
Yeah.
And Duku, whenever you want, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Welcome. Is my screen visible to everybody?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So this is as we already talked about a little bit in the introductory time. This is the live session 1, which will be majorly focusing on fuel management, and of course we have also added something a little bit at the end about off-road driving. So that will come, yeah, at the end. Before we go to that, I don't know, I've not been receiving any comments or things from the forum. I don't know if people have already been following the online session.
Yes, we start the first part of the Timbo session. So, and we are going to continue. So it's very, very good platforms and we get experience. So it's very helpful.
Okay. Your voice is a little bit not very clear, but yeah.
So maybe the sound was slow. Now I increase. I mean that we start entering the Timbo sessions to have more informations, and it is very well and it's very good. So thank you for sharing this link.
Okay, good. Okay, so as I said, we will be talking about fuel management, and we will start from sourcing and supply of fuel, and then we go to storage, distribution, then safety and safety standards, then monitoring, and then we will go to water crossing, and we have a look at my fleet if it will be necessary. So yes, the whole chain, as far as fuel is concerned, is we start by getting the fuel from the supplier. Of course, there are minimum standards or minimum things that we need to do while we get the fuel. This is what we say sourcing. Once we have gotten the fuel, we need to take it from the supplier, or the supplier has to bring it from wherever it is, from his or her location to our location. Once the fuel has reached our location, of course, we need to store it. There are also minimum requirements that we need during transportation and during storage. When fuel has been stored, of course, then we need to distribute it into the vehicles, to distribute it to generators, distribute it to any other motorized equipment. And then after distribution, of course, we need to monitor. We need to record data and then analyze and monitor what is going on. Of course, as far as fuel is concerned, of course, as everything at the end, there is the part of the money. So in our undertakings, we always have to do budgets and things like that. So we need to collect data and we need to know how much we are consuming in general. We need to know how it is going, maybe between asset and in general, how each asset is utilizing the fuel. Is it utilizing in the right way or in the wrong way? So this is all part of like the end point of our fuel supply chain. So what do we do when we get fuel? Maybe I would, as we said, this session is supposed to be a little bit of participation, and I would like to see maybe a little bit with the participants. What are the practices that they have in your mission? Can someone tell me? Gabriel Fernandez, from which mission? Yes, we can start with Gaza.
Yes,
Let's take like when you get fuel from the supplier, what do you normally do?
Yeah, I'm not in a mission at the moment. I don't know if you can hear me.
Come again?
Can you hear me at the moment?
Yes.
now you
Yeah,
come
no,
clearly.
I'm not in a mission, but in the last one, I was in Bangui. And basically it was very easy for us because basically they were doing everything. They had a big tank of 20,000 liters in capital, and everything we had to do from just nearby was coming there and pick it up. So they were monitoring how many liters we were taking, and that was everything I needed to do. Everything else was done by the capital supply.
Okay. So it is the supply team that deal with the suppliers.
Yeah. When so from our point, we didn't see what was happening before all the fuel was getting into the 20,000 liters container that was placed in the capital. So we were just going there and picking it up. For us was pretty easy, that part. Thank you.
Okay. And then for somebody was saying something from MSF Gaza, apps.
Yes. So what we do when we receive from supplier? Firstly, when we receive from supplier, we make sure that we have enough space for the fuel for the quantity that we are going to receive. Second thing is to do a check for if there is water contamination, the density of the fuel, and also to check the counter if it's counting well. We have a jar outside, and we do this if the counter it is counting well. So we receive that quantity and to take the counter follow up, like we make the counter into 0, and then we take the photo and we compare it with the last quantity that we received to the tanks.
Okay, good. Okay, one more person, and then we continue from there. My friend from Gaza.
Hi, Doko. So in Gaza, currently, the only source of fuel is through UN or UNOPS. They managed to get fuel into Gaza and distribute through organizations. And what we do is we receive fuel in our office. We have plastic tanks that are set up. And later we move fuel by ourselves, either to a service agreement petrol station that we refill our fleet in, or to our facilities where we have generators. The only checks we do is the water check for our tanks.
Okay.
With the paste.
Okay, that's good. At least something is done. So of course, as I said, we of course we operate in different locations, different contexts. Some places the resources are very limited. Even maybe there is only one supplier. So you don't have many options. So in this regard, of course, we don't give up. We always have to do what would be required. We don't let supply do by themselves, but at least from the time when we choose a supplier, this is the time of the sourcing. The group of course, supply and logistics, it depends. Some places it's separate, other places it's the same thing. So even if it is separate or even if it is the same, it has to be a group, a team of people that should be involved while we identify a supplier. The first thing is identifying the supplier. When we identify the supplier, of course, we do a tender process. Through the tender process, we ask suppliers to bring samples. These samples, then we can check what is required. We check, of course, when we bring samples like this, maybe will be like small quantity, like 1 liter in 1 liter container. Here, we don't need the water check first, but we would see how good this fuel is, looking into some of the properties of fuel. And one of the most important property that we must check before anything is at least the density. So here we check, and then we also go through the other checks that we will look into detail, like the visually how the fuel is. Is it the right color? Normally we say it has to be like yellowish. And then we check the order also of the fuel. So we will go into this one by one. So first thing, tender. Second thing, check the quality of the fuel. Once we have done this, then the supplier, of course, the other things like price and so on that comes in will be considered, and the supplier is validated. So then when the supplier is validated, we come into now reception. When the fuel is being brought, of course, we try as much as possible to see that the supplier brings the fuel themselves. So when they transport, they have to transport in good containers until your location. When you do the reception now, this is the time that the water test comes in now, because you never know. Somebody, instead of bringing for you 5,000 liters, he adds 20 liters of water. Or the fuel also is transported through a very long way. And then on the way, water forms naturally inside the tank. It doesn't have to be like that. Someone just adds water to increase the volume. But water could also form naturally due to condensation during the time of transportation. So we check for this. And then, of course, sometimes people don't clean their distribution containers. And we also see if there is any dirt in the field. So this is exactly the summary that I have done here. Sample collection of 1.5 liters from the supplier. Then we do the process of checking. So we test viscosity. This is a very simple check that you just put the fuel on your, should be on your finger, and then you see if it disappears in a very short time, like in 3 seconds, then it's a very bad fuel. If it stays in, diesel, this is for diesel. I mean, let's be specific here. We're testing for diesel. Petrol is a different thing. So, of course, we will be talking a lot about diesel here because it's the fuel that we mostly use. In some places, there is petrol also, but maybe between 80 to 90% of the time we use diesel. That's why a lot of reference will be done to diesel. So if it stays between 6 to 7 seconds, then it's acceptable. 10 seconds is the best because diesel has got a little bit of oily feeling. That's why it should not dry up from your finger. Then the second thing that you do is you check on the color, and then you see how the color is. It has to be yellowish. If you see that it is dark color, then there's an oxidation. That means something else has been added. You know, like sometimes the fuel density is very low, then they add a certain sample into the fuel to make it heavier, which will also not be good. I don't know, somebody can add oil or what, you see, still it will mix in diesel. So this is some of the quick checks that you should do. You should see if there is a contamination. If the color is not yellowish, then it's a problem. I remember in Afghanistan, we received more than 10 samples with different colors. Others are brown, there is white, there's yellow, there is really dark one, and so on. So one of the things that I would like to say here is that with diesel is so much manipulated because its production is not so complicated. That's why in the market you will find so many products of same diesel. So all this distillation process for diesel is not so complicated like petrol. So then there are many other people who are producing diesel on different qualities. So yeah. So as I said, the smell.
Yoko, can I ask a question? Sorry.
Yes.
Regarding the viscosity test, you take a sample with your finger and your fingerprint, and what you look for is the fingerprint yourself, if it should appear or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. You just put it on your finger and then you wait for 10 seconds. If it appears very fast within 3 seconds, then there's a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So for the smell, if it's, the smell, diesel has a very strong smell, but if it is really irritating smell and really very strong, feels acidic or aggressive, then there is some problem. That is not a very good quality. Then, as I mentioned, the most important part here is to test the density. This is where we have challenges in many projects. It would be good that you get a densometer. Who does this in their mission? Who does density test in their mission? Who can explain something? Yemen. Somebody was from Yemen. Ups head of drivers, are you there? Ups lock base, are you available? No, they have left. Yeah, because this is the mission that I support, and I know they do this. So I wanted to get the experience from them, how it is while doing the density test. But so the rest of the people, does it mean you don't do this test? KB, lock, head of drivers.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, thank you. For us, it is being carried out by the workshop.
Okay.
Whenever we receive the supply, we receive the sample from the supplier. Most of the time we receive 5, 3, it all depends. So we send it to the mechanic at the workshop. So the workshop supervisor carries out the density test.
Okay.
Yes, and we do it in collaboration, actually. Sometimes it depends on the availability of either me or the log-based supervisor. We work hand in hand to carry out these tests, both the density tests, the odor, the water, and everything. We do it together. It depends on our workload, but it is done in the workshop, actually, for us here.
Okay. Okay. How about Solomon? Solomon Jonathan, you are from which mission?
Actually, currently I'm out of mission.
Okay.
Yeah. My last mission, my most recent mission was the full mission.
Okay.
So there I was actually not I was the construction manager. I work as a construction manager, so I wasn't really doing anything about when.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. So with there is a densometer, which is like a kind of a test tube that has a bulb. It has a test tube, narrow test tube with a little bit bigger at the bottom that you get like, I don't know, 10 liters, and then you put it inside the fuel. It will float. So while floating, it is graduated. Then you see the gradation, you see the reading. So a reading of, as I mentioned, a reading of between 0.8 to 0.85, 0.83 to 0.85 grams, or 83 to 85 kilograms per cubic centimeter or per cubic meter at 15 degrees Celsius. This is one very, very important point that we should know, that you will be able to get a reading that is in between here at 15 degrees Celsius. If you have the reading that is within here, then your fuel is good. If it is above, you have 0.9, then it is very bad. Or if you have 0.8 only. So this is one of the challenges that we also get when we receive fuel. Fuel is received, immediately we test and we get wrong reading. Normally we should leave the fuel to rest a little bit. It has to go. We cannot achieve the 15 degrees Celsius, but we try. Some places are hot. I guess in Gaza it is very, very hot there. Or in Sudan. So in this situation, if you test your fuel and you see that there is a little bit of a problem, the density is not good, and you know that already ambient temperature, the temperature outside where you are testing is 40 degrees, then you know that there is a problem. So what we normally recommend is that you take the fuel inside and you let it sit there for at least 2 hours inside a room that has AC. From there, at least you'll be able to reduce the temperature, and then you will test. Sometimes when you test, you will see that it's not the right range. And then when you put it in the room with AC for 2 hours, and you check again, you see there is an increase. So that means your fuel is good. Normally, fuel has to be at a certain temperature. And maybe I would like to ask you one question, if anybody knows why the density of the fuel is very important. Does anybody have an idea why it is a very important property as far as fuel is concerned? Are my friends in back, or they are still away?
You know, we are in the training, but the problem of the internet.
Internet, okay.
Even I sent a text, yes, I sent a text because I am trying to answer, but I couldn't.
Okay. Now we hear you.
Yes, yeah, actually the importance of the density, we don't have much information, For this, we are waiting for me.
Okay. So when you burn fuel, it produces energy. And it is that energy that makes the engine of either the vehicle or the generator turn. So the density determines the level of energy that is being produced when fuel is burned. So if the fuel is too light, then you find that your car or your generator is losing power. And then you're wondering what is happening, but it's because of the density. And density is affected by temperature. That's why you find that these days the new Land Cruisers are fitted, from the tank, there is a cooler. There is a unit, a small unit. If you see the VDJ Land Cruisers in Yemen, you have this underneath, you will find that there is some small device that reduces the temperature of the fuel before it reaches to the injection. This is to make sure that there is maximum energy production when it burns. Or also the air, you see there is a vehicle, we used to call the vehicles intercooler. So when the air is compressed before it reaches, it is mixed with the fuel, the temperature is lowered. So this is, for the production. So then when they mix at the right temperature. So fuel, the output from the fuel is from the density. And density is affected by temperature. Yeah. So then in other places, we also do, especially while we're identifying our supplier, some laboratory tests. This is an advanced test that there are very, very few places that we do this. In my experience, we used to do this while I was in Afghanistan. Then we can test now a little bit more detailed to check things like certain number. Certain number is also a very important thing. It's in petrol, in diesel we say cetane, in petrol we say octane. This is when fuel starts burning, it normally goes through 3 phases. And in these 3 phases, of course, these 3 phases happen in microseconds, but fuel is burned in the 3 phases. And then in the 3rd phase, there is what the fuel produces. And this, if it is not controlled, if the burning is not controlled, it results into what we call diesel knock or petrol knock. And diesel knock or petrol knock can be very, very dangerous to our engines, because if it is too strong, then it can damage like a piston, the pistons. So fuel with bad certain number can easily give a very bad ignition quality, and then it ends up into either diesel knock or ignition. So yeah, but these are things that needs to be checked in a laboratory. You cannot see easily, but it's a by the way thing. And then other factors like distillation point, viscosity, cloud or flash point. Sulfur content also is a very important thing here that if there is really a possibility, it would be very good to test, because fuel with high sulfur content is very, very bad. The sulfur remains in the engine, and this is what corrodes engine parts, and it increases wear. So in most of the places that we operate, especially in the Middle East and then parts of Africa, you will see that most of the fuels have very high sulfur content, and we always face a lot of issues because of the sulfur content. Actually, the lubricants we use, like the engine oil, is the quality of the engine oil deteriorates due to sulfur content. So what we remove from the filter would be the sulfur content, but sometimes it's very hard That's why we need to change the oil at a certain period of time, and we need to change the filters. So knowing the sulfur content would help us in these kind of things to determine what is the period of time that we change oil or change filters. That's why in places with very bad sulfur content, we sometimes try to reduce the service from, instead of 5,000, we could go to 3,000. Yeah. So this is the advanced test that we do during the time of sourcing. If you have the chance, you can explore, check in your mission and see if there is any laboratory that does this. So when we have checked all these things,
sorry.
Come again?
Can I ask you a question? Sorry.
Yes.
The fuel density test, is it done in the laboratory or it's something that we can do?
You do it. It's something that you can do. Okay, I have mentioned the test using the densometer. The densometer is a very small, it's just a simple device that you put inside the fuel and it is floating. And then you will see the reading. It's not a very complicated thing. So this, the things that I've mentioned, like the physical appearance of the fuel, the color, the smell, the viscosity test, and the densometer are the things that you can do in your mission very easily. And it is actually, it should be mandatory that you should do this because it's not very complicated. For the density, there is a simpler method that you use. You take 10 liters of fuel, you weigh, and then you weigh you get the weight of the empty container. Then you see what is the weight of the fuel. In this way, you will also be able to determine it will be there in the presentation at the end. So this is the simplest way that you can check the density of the fuel. So in reception, it's highly recommended that you let the fuel stand for 24 hours. This is not very easy to achieve because most of the time, suppliers don't want to stay. They want to leave, they want to go back, but try it. While during sourcing, while you are selecting the supplier, make it a point that it is added into your contract of agreement that the fuel has to stand for 24 hours. So that if there are any things, there are dirts, we let it settle. Then we verify the calibration of the pump that you are going to use. If the supplier comes with their own pump, then you should be able to check if the pump is properly calibrated. Is it counting real liters or it is just counting less? This is also something that you should put it as into practice, that you have something simple that you use. You could either have a bucket, transparent bucket, then you label where 20 liters is. So when they come, of course, the 20 liters, the level of the 20 liters, you could use like a measuring cylinder, like 1 liter measuring cylinder. Then you check and you make sure that you keep this bucket every time you are doing reception. You put 20 liters and see that it is exactly 20 liters or more or less 20 liters. Then you are not cheated. So we talked about quality. Quality is checking about the dirt, what we said, the density and so on. Now we are going into the check for the quantity. So why it is also important that we ask for this 24 hours standing time. Fuel naturally increases when the temperature is high, and that is what we call dilution. or thermal expansion. When fuel expands, or when it is subjected to very high temperature, there is an increase in the quantity. So reception has to be done very early in the morning. And this is one thing that we somehow suspected in one of the missions. I think it was also in apps that after a very long time, there was a discrepancy of, I think, I don't know, 800 or 8,000 liters of diesel that nobody knows what happened. It was because maybe that's one of the suspicions that probably fuel was received during the wrong time, or people just arrive and then we do all this, pop, yalla, yalla, reception is done. So instead of 3,000 liters, you have 3,010 liters. So this is accumulated in huge quantity. There are missions that they use up to 40,000 liters of diesel in a month. So we allow the 24, then maybe the truck is parked under the tree or in some bit of a place where temperature is low, and then you can now do your checks. And then when you pump, you are sure that you are receiving the right quantity. These are the details of the dilution that I was saying, that you have 1 liter per degree. So in every, that is for diesel, in every 1,000 liters, you will have 1 additional liter. So you see, if you have received 3,000 liters, you have 30 liters extra, which is not there when you receive it at 30 degrees Celsius. So you can see, if your area ambient temperature is 45 or even 50, what happens? You will have a little bit more. So you can try your best that the truck stays overnight and you receive the fuel very early in the morning. Then you will at least minimize this effect. Yeah. Is it clear? Any question up to now?
Clear, thank you.
Okay. So now we have identified our supplier. The supplier has brought, we have checked quality, quantity. Now it comes to storage. Of course, these are the minimum requirements that we need, that we store the fuel in bigger tanks. And we leave the fuel to decant for 4 days before we can start using. So in recommendation, it's always good to have several containers. We normally recommend at least like the 5,000 liter containers. Instead of you building a 40,000 tank, I've seen in one of the missions, they have a 40,000 tank. You would rather split it into at least 10, or 40. Or if you have one long 40,000 tank, you partition it inside there so that it can allow you to do a rotation, that you use this one and then you continue like that. Then the empty space, you fill it up and let it decant while you keep using the one which is in the other tank. So absolutely building a huge one empty fuel tank of 20,000 is not the best practice that you should do. Also, of course, management, cleaning, and all these things becomes a nightmare than when you have smaller portions. So in your storage, you have to make sure that if you have several tanks, as I already mentioned, you make sure that you label them. So this is very logical thing. So you know that we're talking about tank A, tank B, but not that you will say, yeah, no, the other tank on the left. But you see, if you are facing your left is different from, if the tanks are in front of you, your left is different from when the tanks are behind you. So you level, and then you know that we are talking about tank A, tank B. Then you have to put a calibration. If you can see this tank here that we have in the example, there is a kind of quick calibration here that you can quickly be able to see how much fuel is in your tank. This one doesn't show exactly what it is, but you can easily have an overview of what is in your tank, just to see the level of the fuel. And then also, of course, if you have to check physical stock counting, maybe for a quick check, this is very important, but you can also have really proper checking. Now, of course, this calibration has to be done in a proper way during the time when you install your tanks. For the pump, yeah, we're talking about filters here. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more here. You should keep records. Of course, fuel is a very, very needed commodity. If you don't keep records, you will find that fuel has disappeared. Of course, you need to have a stock card, and in the stock card, or some people use like movement card. When they give the fuel, they record to which vehicle, what are the kilometers, and you record the main reading of the counter to be careful that nothing is interfered in between. Then the area has to be restricted. You can see the example here, it is fenced and there is a gate that is locked. Of course, you don't allow other people there, either for safety reason or for also safety reason of the people, but also for the safety reason of the fuel itself. Tanks have to be clean. Highly recommended 3 to 4 months. So you have at least 3 times or 4 times in a year, depending on how bad your fuel is, that you clean. This is why I was talking about if you have smaller units. You should always have the spill kits, fire extinguishers, and so on. During construction, it is highly recommended that you should build a spill retainer. The spill retainer is not very, very commonly, you don't find people commonly doing this, but with the increasing environmental concerns, we are trying to start to see that this is also implemented. This is like a wall that you build around the fuel tanks, so that if at all fuel spills or fuel, there is a leakage, then that doesn't allow the fuel to run everywhere and contaminate, water or whatever it's around in the surrounding. And it's recommended that that container, I did this in one of the projects in Nigeria, and we really had until now we have a very nice distribution point. And the retainer tank should be 50% of the total volume. So if you have your storage is like up to 20,000, then the retainer tank should be like 10,000 liters. This is just a wall around so that it's empty, so that if fuel leaks for whatever reason, you'll be able to contain the leakage, or during spill, the fuel is not spread all over every places. In details, you also make like a drain place where the fuel drains and it goes to a grease trap kind of. And then from the grease trap, you can take out the contaminated fuel. One of the challenges we have is what to do with that. But we are also, as I said, due to environmental concerns, we are trying to find ways how we can filter this fuel. I already found one guy who has some material that can filter water out of fuel. So maybe if all goes well at such a certain point, we might have some of these things in the field. So fuel, when fuel stands for a very long time, then issues come. Of course, as I already mentioned, there is always natural condensation. In this natural condensation, water is produced, and this water sinks at the bottom. In long run, it produces a sludge. This sludge that is formed here now is a dirt, potential dirt that you have in the fuel tank. So every time you pour fuel, you disorganize it and it is uniformly mixed with all your fuel. And this, of course, we have already ensured that fuel before it reaches to our storage is clean. We checked for dirt, we checked for water and all this, but while it is in our storage, contamination can happen. So this is one practical example of bad storage practices. You can see how this one is, how chaotic it is. I don't know. How is it, guys? Are you in the first stage or in this stage that I've shown to you? How was it, Solomon, when you were in, I know you were doing construction, but you saw how was the fuel storage in Sudan?
Yes, like when I was at Zalinje project, they were using drums for the storage.
So it was like this?
Yeah, something
like
like,
this?
but metallic drums, not plastic.
Okay. Who else? Who can tell us something? There's somebody from, there was log manager for Sudan somewhere. Have we lost him or what? Yes, OCB, log manager.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, we want to hear from OCB.
Yes.
How is your storage? Is it like this one or?
Yeah, similar to that one, yes. We have metallic drums. Yeah.
How long is that project?
I think we came here in January, like 6 months now. Yes.
6 months.
But now we changed to plastic tank, 2,000 liter.
Okay. Yes. I think in Gaza I heard that it is big tanks.
Yes, we have the big plastic tanks, 5,000 liter tanks. So we put them. I will share with you a photo shortly and from our office in the chat.
Okay, that is good. Yes, you see these photos I'm showing you. This is a project that has been there for 10 years, and they have these scales. So, yeah, you see the fire extinguishers are already crammed in between the drums. You don't know whether you can, if there's fire, how will you reach to get those fire extinguishers? And they have one fuel tank that is left there, inside there. And how do you do, like if you want to audit here, how do you check? It is very hard. Here there are some open buckets. You see, probably these buckets are being used for distributing the fuel. You will see in the next picture that you can see in the first picture what is happening. Somebody is pumping the fuel by the mouth. And then after it starts to flow, they are lifting it here. And the poor guy he has to hold this thing until it flows, So this is the same place. And in the next thing, we talk about the standard. So you can see, this is what we did after we restored order here. Now in the picture, you can see that we brought the fuel tanks. My friend from Gaza, what is her name again? I've forgotten. Are you there? Gaza Lock.
Yes,
What is your
yes,
name
with
again?
you, Omar.
Omar. Which
Yes.
tanks do you have? Is it the same like these ones?
No, no, not the 1 cubic. No, not this one. We have
These
the
ones.
water
These ones.
tanks.
Okay. These are also 1,000 liters. These are like one of the best tanks that if you have any chance of getting them, they are really very good because they are already calibrated and they have a very small, where you are putting the fuel is not too open, and they are very, very easy to clean when you compare to those huge tanks. Those huge tanks, you need 3 people to clean them. There is a protocol that we have. It's not here in this presentation, but there is a protocol that you cannot just allow one person. My friends from apps maybe will want at some point tell us how it is. They have these huge tanks, but you need 3 people. One inside the tank, the other one at the top, and the other one at the bottom. So with this, one person can clean, and you don't need a lot of things. And it's always because of these big tanks, and then people don't clean them because it's very a little bit of a task. So yeah, in our distribution, we have to make sure that we have a proper measurement of the fuel. So recommended is using a pump that has a meter or counter, and the pump should have a filter so that we filter out all the dirt. And the tank should have a calibration. As we talked at the beginning, we talked when we are doing the reception, we control the pump of the supplier. Maybe it is even the same pump that we use when we receive the fuel from the supplier, depending on how your setup is. But normally it is good you have a separate pump of your own if you know that your supplier brings fuel without a pump. So if you have your own pump, but make sure that this pump and the one that you use for distributing fuel into the generators or into the cars has a calibration. Because when you keep using these pumps, they wear. And when they wear, they lose their precision. So instead of you pumping, so for example, 100 liters, you will be pumping maybe 98 or 99, or okay, 99 is okay. But if it comes like that, you are pumping 90 liters, you are already missing 10 liters. And then when you do your fuel consumption, you have a problem. So there has to be an approval system in place for your fuel distribution. Recommended is the use of fuel vouchers. Someone else issues the voucher and then someone else approves it. We do the distribution of segregation of responsibilities. This is part of the log basics. When we talk about the log basics in fuel management, there must be segregation of tasks. Not that it's the same person you just a car show up at the stock, and then the same person gives fuel into the car and he records in the logbook. Is the same person who records in the stock card, and everything ends there. There has to be a chain of command. Of course, sometimes these things bring a lot of bureaucracy and a lot of delay, but it is necessary. You try to minimize it as much as possible. So voucher is approved, you go, you get your fuel, and then in the voucher, the right quantity of fuel that has been issued to you is given. And then we use this voucher for OCBA or other, for all the OCs. There is always a monitoring tool that is there. We will have a look at this at the end, but this voucher is now what goes to the log manager or base log that now records to keep proper records. Things have to be supervised. There should be fiscal stock reporting that you check at the end of the month, at the end of the week, depending on how your setup is. So why we do physical stock, so that we really know that actually, do we have the right quantity of fuel there? Instead of waiting, then maybe because of dilation or because of other reasons, at the end, you find that there is a huge discrepancies in your fuel stock. So this has to be checked frequently so that we try to mitigate these kind of issues. Staff have to be trained. I saw in some missions, the security guard is in charge of the fuel. And then they write things that we cannot read. So this is not possible. Or even if it is storekeepers, someone has been newly recruited. For him, he has been working in a place where there is no accountability, but comes to us, we want accountability. We need things to be clear. So in this case, you have to hold a training. Then, of course, use of PPE, and then the issue of the safety that we talked about, fire extinguishers, sun. Every mission, many places you go, you find that they have these things. There are fire extinguishers and there is a bucket of sand, but the bucket of sand has been left in rain, and either it's a solid thing or it is full of water. In this case, it doesn't make sense. Really, the safety things that we put there, we have to make sure that they are there for purpose. It's not just a matter of fulfilling requirements that there should be fire extinguisher, but the fire extinguisher which is there is expired long time, many years ago, or it is crammed like the ones we saw in the picture. So the fire extinguisher that is there actually works if there will be fire, and it is put in a place that it is accessible. Normally it has to be outside. You don't put it inside and you lock the door. So if you put it inside and you lock the door and fire comes, who is going to get it? Or fire, it should be a little bit even far away, not very far, but should be at least far away from the fuel, so that when fire is there, you'll be able to reach. But if you put it behind the store, then fire comes, you can't reach your fire extinguisher. You lock the door, you cannot enter, and nobody can do nothing. You put sand, which is full of water, you cannot use it. So whatever you put there for the safety have to be checked, and we make sure that they are actually functional, that can be used in case of anything. Yes, so this is the chain from the supplier until fuel is stored and we distribute. Is there any question up to this point? Have I confused something?
Omar has sent a picture.
Omar, yes.
On the chat.
Okay, fuel stock. Yes. Yeah, so you have really big tanks, huh? At least
Yes.
if the place is fenced up, there is no access. And I've seen a lot of labelings, which is very good. There is a ladder there for climbing inside. Yes. So
It's a good point to also add the sand and shovels and the fire extinguishers. This is something that I will improve on.
So you don't have these ones, no?
We have fire extinguishers around the premises, but not allocated for a specific number of tanks.
Yeah. Yes. One thing that also we should know is that, you see, you have thousands of liters of petrol and you have one bucket or two buckets. You know, it is not proportional. But at least, you know, maybe the fire has just started. Then you should be able to control it. There has to be something at least, while you are waiting for a little bit of maybe a rescue or what. Of course, if there's a possibility of putting something much better, then that is okay. I saw in some mission also that I went, like when I went to the pharmacy, which was next to the fuel store, there were so many fire, these automatic extinguishers that are hanging on the wall, on the roof. So many of them. Of course, it's very good that the pharmacy is protected, but people have forgotten where the source of the fire is from. So and there is like thousands of liters of fuel. If fire comes from where the fuel is stored, then whatever capacity of extinguishers you have at the pharmacy, you have to be, it will not be of any use. So there was not even a single thing. There was nothing, absolutely nothing where the fuel storage is. Okay, so now let's go to generators. I have put something very specific here for generators, that there are specific protocols for generators. Of course, the same like for the cars, each generator should have a logbook that you record the fuel. Then you have to update the logbook when you issue fuel with the hours and the right quantity of fuel, assuming that your fuel distribution, there is a pump. You should, not overfill. You don't fill the generator and start immediately. So this is why we have either per generator 2 tanks. We will come to that point. Of course, it is recommended that nowadays we really highly recommend that the generators are connected to external tank. But if you're using your original generator fuel tank, then make sure that you don't overfill. And yes, containers are leveled. Let's go a little bit faster here. So this is what I wanted to emphasize on, why we connect generator to external tank. I don't know if everybody is doing this. I know in Yemen we have this, but the rest of the people who has his generators connected to external tank. KB, head of drivers, do you have external tanks for your generators in KB?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yes, in KB we have external generators for our external tank. I mean, for our generators.
Okay.
Yes, for each generator we have a 1,000 liter tank attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
Then beside it as well, we also have 2,000 liters, which we call the security tank. That's which we use in refueling the 1 liter and 1,000 liter whenever it goes down.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
How about Abuja? I didn't see we have a Watson person here in our team. Abuja flying Watson. I have some things for you. I was talking about. Yes.
Hi.
Hi. How is it in Abuja? How is your fuel situation there?
Yes, we have external tanks, I think of 5,000 liters too, making 10,000 liters, same applicable to the project. However, there are 1,000 liters tank that are attached, feeding the generator directly.
Yes.
Yeah. In
Do these
the
tanks have
project
the
as well as
retainer?
the guest house.
Do you have a retainer tank? The spill.
Retainer.
The spill. Yes.
Yes, it does. It does. I think this is filtering the fuel or something. I don't know.
No. Is this if this tank is leaking, what happens with the fuel? Does it flow? Is there something to contain the fuel or not? Because this would be Watson requirement.
Yes, in Shinkafi, I noticed we noticed some time ago that one of the tanks were leaking.
Yes.
You understand? And the fuel
Yeah.
was spilling on the ground, you know? So, but
Yes.
this was taken into consideration for fix after my departure, because it was happening while I was about leaving the project. You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So for Watson,
but what I noticed,
yes.
these
Yeah.
tanks are two. They are two 1,000 liters tank close to the generator. So I don't know if one is serving as a fuel that is fueling the generator and one is serving as a retainer tank. This is not clear to me. But I normally see
No.
two
The
tanks close to the generator.
The retainer tank is what I was explaining. When you have your tanks,
yes,
they are placed inside
okay,
another thing that you build. You build with like a wall.
okay,
Like,
okay.
so the tanks are inside
Yes.
a container. So that
Okay.
when they are using the fuel and fuel spill over, it
Yes,
doesn't
it
flow. Or
goes
if there
into
is
the
a leakage,
container.
that thing will contain the fuel.
No, I think this I did not see of recent. Maybe it
No,
has been done before I will
no.
visit. So I don't know. Of
It was
recent, I
not
think
there.
I
It
have
was
not
there
seen.
in Sikafi. I didn't see.
Aha,
So
yes.
this is a task for you to see
Okay, all
that
right.
all fuel tanks have
Have a
something
retainer tank.
that contains spillover. There are some
So
other that you can buy also already ready-made that you put the tank on top.
okay, I
Yes.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah, because
So
if you go
instead
to
of the
places where they
fuel,
store fuel, yeah. Tell me.
Yes, I was about saying instead of the fuel to spill on the ground, like to flow into the natural soil ground, or probably it's a concrete floor or what have you, it will stay in these retainer tanks.
Yes.
And from the retainer tanks, maybe you can filter it and reuse the fuel, you know?
Yes, you can
And it
filter,
won't be
which
a
is
waste.
this is the challenge that we have now. We are able to build the retainer tank, but what happens now if they spill over? You collect it. Maybe you collect it like in a grease trap or I don't know, something like that. What do you do now after that?
With the fuel.
Yes, you need to filter to separate the fuel from the water.
Yes,
so
and then
it's
any
something that
possible
we're looking
deaths.
into a solution.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Yes, there is a hand up from apps driver.
Yeah. You're going out?
Driver apps. Okay. If he comes back, we can talk. Okay, so we connect the generators so that we reduce to external tank so that we reduce the frequency of refueling. If you are connected to 1,000 liters, you can refill once or twice in a month. Some places they use the tank of the generator. They have to refill every day. This makes it easy to plan your things. Then the fuel can settle, it can sediment. Then, of course, you protect your engine. Easy maintenance, because that actually it is impossible, by the way, to clean the tank of the generator because it's welded. So there's no way you can clean it. So if you have your external tank, you can always clean. I don't know why manufacturers are doing it like that. There is a reason, that I think because of space or whatever. So we are improvising that we have this because we are operating in places where fuel is dirty. Then we put this external tank that is very easy to clean, but not the welded one. If there is anything, contamination that has been detected, you can easily clean. But if it is inside the generator tank, it is very hard. You have nothing to do. You can drain the fuel out, but more than that is not possible. Of course, we can avoid losses. Fuel could be lost. Fuel could be taken to a different direction. So if we refill once in a while, it's okay. Or maybe if the, yeah. One of the things here is also, as we talked about our main storage, it will help. So if you have in every generator, for example, 1,000 or 2,000 liters, then you would reduce the quantity of fuel that you store at your main storage for your main store. So then, of course, the issue of fire does not come in, and then the issue of buffer stock and all these things, you avoid it because now you have a bigger capacity. I have some few examples here that I have shown on how you can connect your generator directly to an external tank. Of course, if anybody need more details on this, you can ask me later on, and then I can explain. But yeah, it's not something very, very difficult. But there are still many, many, many places where we have no external tanks. These are the details of the materials that you need. They all vary from generator to generator. It's quite a task that you see, like this hose pipe, normally for generators like 88 kVA and above, like 150 kVA, they use this is 3/8. For 88 below, they use 5/16 inch a hose pipe. Then you need all these accessories. It's quite a task that you need to get reducers and this. Then you should have a strainer that you put. There is one request somebody was requesting from one of the mission a few days ago that he wanted a filter to put. If you are taking the fuel from above, a strainer is already good enough to just like protect any other big foreign materials. But here we're already expecting that the fuel that you bring to the external tank is already clean. And if you take it from the bottom, you make sure that the outlet is 20 centimeter above the bottom of the tank. And then it is recommended to put a filter. Of course, here is quite a task that you need to find. Normally you can put maybe like 1/2 inch pipe here as the outlet, but then you need some reducers and to put the filter. So as I said, if you need anything, any support on this, if you don't have, then you let me know. So
Doc, question, the fuel pipe, is it a PVC or metallic pipe? What is available?
Okay, very good question. Actually, I forgot about this. There are special hydraulic pipes that you should use. Minimum should be a hydraulic pipe. Or if you can get a real fuel pipe, it's not PVC. These are like the rubber pipes. It's not PVC.
Like the ones used for gas cylinders.
For gas cylinder. But this is one big thing. That's why I said it's a very big, is a very good question. Some people use the pipe for the compressor, air compressor. That one is very, very bad because it will be damaged by fuel. You know, we have the thermoplastic and thermosetting plastics. The thermoplastics are not attacked by fuel. So if you use that one of the compressed air, it will be corroded and you will get those particles going inside into your engine. So it's better if you get a real hydraulic or fuel pipe. In minimum thing, if it is like the gas one also is a little bit resistant, but highly recommended it should be the rubber but fuel where it is clearly written that is for fuel or for hydraulic oil, because these are all mineral-based oils. The fuel is also mineral-based. But if you use something that is not resistant to mineral-based oils, then it will be corroded and contaminating, or even it will be completely damaged. It's clear.
In our project, we are using this same system.
Come again?
In APS project, we are using same system that you are explaining now, but we are taking the outlet 20 centimeter from the bottom of the tank. Instead of having sucking, so we are using the fuel flow, but it is 20 centimeter above from the bottom of the tank to let the garbage or the muddy or anything that will be contaminated to be settled at the bottom of the tank.
Yes.
This system, it is in the office, guest house, and also hospital.
Okay.
But we changed the tank instead of this transparent tank because with the time and climate, it will become dark. So you cannot see the quantity of the fuel. So we change it with the tank that we call it here, different companies with 3 layers.
Yeah.
And we put this pipe that we can see the level.
Okay. For the calibration.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Of course, it's quite a challenge on these things about the tanks, you know. When you use certain plastic tanks, and then it is affected by the heat, and then, but if they are very cheap, you know, like you can use it for a year and change. This is a thing that with the plastics I would recommend, because some of these, like this transparent tank is only $100, so you can use it 1 to 2 years, and you replace it with another one.
Yeah,
instead
if
of
it will be
using
for
it forever.
yearly, it will be good, but to have it for more than a year, it's difficult.
Yeah, they get affected. And then the problem is if you go for metallic and then they start to rust. And I remember also in apps, we were trying to see how we can treat the fuel tanks.
Yes.
Internally by using epox paint.
Yes, from outside. You're right.
Is it working well?
Yes, now it is working well. There is no rust.
Yes, so we still an experiment that we are trying to see if it is okay. If it works, well and good.
Yeah, it's working well.
Yeah. Okay, good. And then the other thing that I wanted to also mention is about filters. If you have to install a filter, be careful, because we also found that in other missions, they are using an oil filter. You see, these are, okay, it's better than nothing. If you don't have nothing, you can put the oil filter. But if it is possible for you to put a real fuel filter, then that is much better.
For our project, we are using this filter, fuel filter.
Yes.
But it is for the main tank,
for
the supplier tank to the generators and cars. And we are changing it regularly. We have a schedule.
Yes.
We are using this schedule to change.
Okay. And then there is also a recommendation on the sizes. If your fuel is not very, very dirty, you could still put, I think the best would be like to put 20 microns, because the filter of the generator is 10 microns. So you don't put a finer one before. This is also something that you should note when you are installing fuel tanks and you're putting filters. So it's better you start with the water separator and 30 micron. And if your fuel is really, really dirty, you can add the second one. That will be 20. Then the last one in the equipment, normally most of the time they are like 10 micron. Or if you have something finer in your equipment, then but don't put a 10 micron fuel filter in the main line, because then it will get blocked. So it has to go gradually, that you filter, then you can use the next one. You don't put 10 micron and you put 30 after. You should go. These are things, these are specifications that whenever you're choosing your filters, you have to always pay attention to make sure that you see the filtration capacity of that fuel filter. Normally, they are most of the time in 30, 20, and 10 microns. So you go in that. You see in the tank, as I was showing, is a strainer, and then you now go into 30 microns, 20, and 10. Yeah. So monitoring, of course, regular reporting, as I already mentioned. In OPBA, for data entry, we are using MyFleet. That all the consumption has to be entered into this so that we monitor. We monitor different things. One is the consumption per 100 kilometer or consumption per hour for the generators and per kilometer for the cars to see if which car is consuming the right quantity of fuel. And then we also track the total quantity of fuel that we need for other purposes, either budgeting or for also our stock monitoring. What quantity of fuel we need. I think I didn't mention, maybe I forgot this, but it's fuel, we cannot keep fuel forever. The diesel, the life of the fuel, you know, you will find that people put fuel somewhere there and they leave it for very long time in the stock. The fuel should not stay for more than a year in storage. So there has to be rotation. You should, yes.
Because we mentioned previously that if fuel stays, it will particle will happen, water or as well. But how long can you store fuel for before it reaches the levels of contamination?
Not more than a year. Yeah. Not more than a year. In hotter places, 6 months. And then in other places where temperature is good, you can keep it for a year. But try as much as possible that you don't store fuel for more than a year. So in OCA, I think there's nobody here from OCA, but they also use a reporting tool that is called LRT, that is for fuel consumption. In OCP, there is Memo that they use for fuel consumption tracking. OCG and OCB, not OCBA. They use the maintenance sheet, that is an Excel file. Is that correct? Those who are from the other OCs.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So now we come to fuel consumption. I think that it is a practice. I don't know who is not practicing or who is practicing. We monitor fuel consumption, and there are benchmarks that have been set in everything. If you go to the memo, or you go to MyFleet, or you go to LRT, you will see that if you fill in your data, you will see that sometimes the consumption, something shows up, a red light comes from somewhere that here we are not, things are not right. So for a Land Cruiser, we are using Land Cruiser here for the benchmarking from 12 to 13 liters per 100 kilometer, or 0.12 to 0.13 liters per kilometer is the normal consumption. When we use the Land Cruiser with the AC on, or sometimes we use 4x4, this is an additional load on the engine of the vehicle. Then the consumption will increase from 13 liters to 16 liters. This is acceptable. It is high, but it's acceptable because we need 4x4 to get out of bad places. We need the AC in hot areas. So it is a high consumption, but it is for a purpose. Here we are okay. But when we go above 16 liters or 0.16 per kilometer, then something is wrong. There is a problem. We need to investigate. So if you are a lock manager, you are deputy loco, you are loco, or you are one of the managers in the logistics or fleet manager, and the fuel consumption is in your hands, these are the things that you should check. For other cars and generators, we also have the benchmarks. The good things for those who are using, or I think all the OCs, we are using tools. There's already something that has been programmed into even the Excel file. Once you're out of range, then something is not correct. So why do we have high fuel consumption above the 16? And you are not using four-wheel, you are driving in the city. So there must be some issue. It could be that there is an error. As I saw the pictures, if you are using that jerry can, plus you are pumping by mouth, then there could be an issue there. That, you know, sometimes those plastic jerry cans, they expand. When they expand, instead of putting 20 liters, you are putting 25. That means the 5 liters, when you will do your consumption, the 5 liters is going to show you discrepancies. So, yeah, then you have a very high consumption because the pumping station doesn't give the accurate quantity of fuel that is required. Or there could be a leakage. There could be an error in calibration, as I mentioned already, that if the pump is not, when we use the pump, it wears. By wear, then when it wears, it starts to be inaccurate. There is little precision in the pump. So we need to calibrate to compensate for the wear. Once the pump is not calibrated, then you get a wrong fuel consumption, or there is a mistake in the recording, or yes, reading the data, reading the quantity of the fuel. We have seen all these things. Maybe fuel is written in the wrong place, in the place of the kilometer, and the kilometer is written in the place of the quantity of fuel. All this results into higher fuel consumption or lower. It could be like instead of 12, you have your Land Cruiser is showing that it is consuming 5 liters. Something is wrong. Tire pressures clearly is when your tire pressure is very low, then your fuel consumption is increased because you are creating an opposition to the motion. You are creating a drag. So the engine needs to work a little bit more to drive the car forward. Then fuel consumption is increased. So you need to make sure that you ensure that your tire pressures are in the right place. The use of 4x4, as already mentioned, air conditioning, running constantly. This has been something that we discuss a lot with drivers. A driver is waiting for somebody in the meeting. He lies or she lies in the car and keep the engine running while the AC is on. Or I saw in one mission, they go to pay salaries using the car, and they use the car as the office for paying the salaries. Okay, if it is clear there is no place, then we know very well that the engine has been running because they were using it for paying for the people paying the salaries. They were paying inside the car. Bad habits, some drivers are very harsh in their driving. This results into high fuel consumption, over speeding, which is completely forbidden. There is no regular maintenance, then the engine is not in good condition, and fuel, they get choked, and then consumption increases. And yeah. So recommended action, we avoid using 4x4 when it is not necessary. You don't drive in the city with 4x4, but you use 4x4 when it is necessary. And of course, you cannot drive the full journey with 4x4. You only put it when it is needed. Air condition, I already mentioned about that, and servicing is required. Mechanical condition inspection, yeah, and make sure that your palm is properly calibrated, and we promote eco driving. Not that a driver starts the car and leaves it idle while he's trying to clean around for 1 hour. These days, we don't really recommend any idling of the cars. We will see this maybe in the last live session, but we said it is recommended by already the manufacturers that the car can only and only idle between 2 to 3 minutes when it is required. But there's in the reality, there is no need to idle the car. Only like generators that have automatic shutdown and all this will be allowed to idle. Now we come to fuel consumption calculation. This is in the online part. Did anybody do this? Gabriel, you have not talked for long now. Gabriel Fernandez, you are from which mission? Oh, he left.
I'm not in a mission at the moment.
You are the one who is in between missions. Yeah. Today you are not traveling, no? You are at home.
I wanted to mention something about the overconsumption, because we have talked a lot about the mechanical and the car itself, but we should also take a look at the possibility of people extracting the fuel that we had a big issue in Bangui project. So just checking my fleet, when the consumption was a little bit higher sometimes, we had to really reinforce the monitoring tools in the handover sheet and everything, because we had an issue with that. They were pointing that maybe it was mechanical, that was maybe the AC, but yeah, there was a really issue with people taking fuel from the vehicles.
Yes. These days it's getting a little bit better. Long time when we are using the 75 model Land Cruisers, there were drivers who even went to an extent of opening the odometer to push the odometer and take the fuel. And that was terrible. One of the most serious things, that they even dismantled the car to just take 15 liters of or 10 liters of fuel. So yeah, it's true. Sometimes fuel gets lost. That's why we said frequency of refueling should be minimized. For generators, put external tanks and you refill once or twice in a month. For the cars, refueling is done once in a week, unless if it is necessary. So who tried this calculation in the online part? My friend from KB. What's your name, Oga?
My name is Michael.
Michael, yes.
Yes, sir.
Tell me. And Muhammad, your hand is up. You wait for after Michael.
Okay, so I did from the online calculation, there was this log book that was given to us, a template that was given to us to solve with the question that you arrive in a mission And then because of the emergency and the necessity of the mission, there had not been any time where fuel has really been calculated. So I think there are 3 questions from that aspect. We said we should calculate for March and for October.
Yes.
Then there was also one question that do you notice any unusual thing in the data, and what could be the possible reason for this? So I think I sit down and I highlighted, I bring out my data and I calculated. So for the month of March, I should have snapped and sent my working maybe on the chat, but I will just briefly explain so that we just understand what I have done so far. So for the month of March,
we will come to that. We will come to that now.
Okay.
Yes, for the time. But it's good. I've liked the way you have explained. You have gone through the whole thing thoroughly, which is very good. And then Muhammad, is it Muhammad from Sudan? You guys have to put your names in the chat so that I don't forget.
It's Khalid from Sudan. Yes.
Khalid.
Yeah. Yes. So I think for the exercise, so I look on the data on the fuel logbook, and then I did the calculation for March and April. And also there is a question like to review the data on the logbook. So for me, the data in the logbook, there is some records are not well recorded. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is very good, because the first one of the requirement is like, what are the issues in this book, in this recording here? Yes. Isn't it? And exactly as you mentioned, one of the problem here is the handwriting.
Yes,
the recording is very bad. You cannot see it properly, and this is something that I would like to recommend where you have issues like this. In one of the missions that I went, we had to do an exercise with the drivers to write, really like a test that you need to write from 1 to 10 in a good way that we can see all these figures. So I produced a random figures, and then they had to copy this by hand. The one who did not make it has to do it even 10 times. And to explain to them, some drivers think that this is just like a joke, we are recording this thing, we don't know. So you have to have time and tell them that, at the end of the day, we need these figures for something and write it properly. So one of the biggest problem that you would notice here is the bad handwriting that are in this logbook, and then there are quite some errors and things like that. So we went here. I have a different calculation, but it's all the same. The concept here is to see that you reach, you do the calculation. I don't know, is there anybody who has issues with this? It's a very simple calculation. I also took a session in some missions that I've been with the drivers to see that they actually have to do the calculation themselves and write in the logbook. Because then they can feel it, because it's clear that your consumption must be between 12 and 13 liters or 13 and 16. So when they know and they feel it and they do the calculation and they see that it's 22 liters, then they have to come to report to you, the log manager or the base log or the head of drivers, first hand. So they have the feeling. It's not that they just write and leave it there. They write and they calculate and they feel. So this is not really a very big thing, just matter of subtracting and getting the kilometers used and the fuel that has been added, and then you calculate to see the fuel consumption. In the sample that I have here, I also took it from a certain place that this vehicle was refilled on the 1st of November, and they put 60 liters. So when you subtract 9,978 from 10,068, you come to this, to 90 kilometers. And the fuel that was used was 60 liters. So you have seen that for 100 kilometers, this vehicle has consumed 60 liters. Can someone make a comment there?
Something is wrong.
Something is wrong, yes. And it's wrong to what extent?
Normal consumption is 20. When you see 60, it's you check your records and you recorded something for sure.
Mm-hmm. This is like the worst case scenario, 60 liters. And the bad thing, if the 60, if the consumption was very high over a huge number of kilometers, then we would say that okay, but only 100 kilometers, you see. So yeah.
It looks like the fuel was stolen. Eh?
Yes. And we followed it up to the store and all this, and it was true the fuel was taken from the store, the real 20 liters. So that was terrible. So my fleet, we are not going to go into details here, but these are the tools that we already mentioned. For those who are from OCPA, if you have any question in my fleet, please feel free to ask. So this brings us to the end on fuel management. I don't know, we have 15 minutes before we go to the briefly to 4x4 off-road driving. Any other comment, any other question? If no question, I'm going to show this video. Then
there is a hand raise from
yes,
OCB.
yes. Michael.
Okay, thank you, sir. I just want to take us backward a little on the reception of fuel, right from the supplier to the test to the so we're talking about this density. I was thinking, is there a training that can really help those who are who receive who attends to fuel from the process of receiving sample to the tests to the reception? Is there like a training that cover that aspect that can really help so that we can have a good reception like we just did here now? Because I also know that we have some testings kits that are being used, but I notice it is not everybody that knows how to make use of that kit.
Yes. That kit is available. I think maybe I removed it. It was there in one of the. No. I think that is the one for oil. But there is a test kit that you can use for the fuel. But it's before you go to that complicated thing, at least the basics we should know. And the training is the same training that we are doing. That is number one. Number two, there is a full there is a full document that is called the fuel. I don't know. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Or maybe I have to change. But there is the fuel management protocols, the fuel management guideline. It has all these things. So If you want, I can even share with you some of the slides. So, since you have been trained here, you can now go and train those people who are doing the field reception now with this same one.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so we can now see this. Who knows Arabic? Muhammad. Not Muhammad. Khalid. Is it Khalid?
Yes, yes.
You heard them speaking in Arabic, no? These guys.
Yes, I can speak in Arabic. Yes.
You heard them talking. What were they saying?
Who?
There is a guy, when the car passed, there was a guy who said something in Arabic.
We didn't. Was muted, no?
No,
I
it
was
was
muted.
muted.
Lohan,
No, Duku.
The guy in the other car that is stuck was saying something. Yeah.
Yeah, but Duku, we didn't hear the voice video. You didn't
maybe
share.
Because I
No, you didn't share
yes.
the video song. So it was a mute.
Yes.
You need to when you need to share when you start the video, you need to share. I think the video song.
No. I think because I was having headphones. How about now?
Not
No sound.
no sound.
Oh. Okay, I don't know why no sound.
Now here maybe try. No. I think that there is a when you share the screen. I think at the top of the screen there is when you share your screen at the top there is a button that says share the sound. I think.
Okay, let me check.
Now that you are sharing the screen, if you just move your mouse to the top,
yeah,
somewhere it should appear no top more up in the top of your screen.
Yes.
It should appear share the sound of the what you are sharing. No, it's more top. It should be in the top of your Teams when you share your screen in Teams. Or stop sharing and then share again your screen. Stop sharing your screen. Okay. And now when you click on share,
yeah,
then you choose the screen.
Yes.
And then at the top, while you share, you have the different options of sharing, and it should appears share the sound somewhere.
Okay. Let me see. Let me share again. It has gone off the screen. So I think it should be okay now. Let me try again.
Now, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yes, so we were supposed to discuss a little bit what are the things that were not handled in the right way in this place, in this crossing. Who has
The
a
fact
comment?
that there are already 2 vehicles stuck,
Yes.
and then the third car is crossing why?
Exactly. So if that third car gets stuck, that is a very risky thing. Then the whole team will have to sleep there. They are supposed to not risk to take this car into the water. At least look for ways to remove the other car before you can do, or remove the other cars and cancel the whole journey. Yes, very good. Next person from
Firstly, before we pass, we have to test the road. If it's solid, if we can pass or not to try like this blindly, and then we got stuck. So from my side, before we pass, we have to check the road, if it's possible to pass or not. And as you said, have to get the start cards.
Yes.
So that's it from my side.
Exactly. If they checked, probably at least it would be acceptable that one car gets stuck, but not two, and they even reach the third one on top of that. And then the other one mentioned in arriving that if you had gone to the other side, you would have not got stuck. That means that they didn't check. Yes.
Yeah. So even the third car, it is passed by chance.
Yes.
Because no one tested.
Yes. But there is another thing still. Another terrible thing that they have done.
The third car also, he passed fast, because that speed, it seems fast because you are passing through water, and he was accelerating very strongly. So he passed by chance.
Yes. Another mistake.
Really, to find these details, we have to go through the videos 2-3 times.
No, because I think time now, you can see that this car is fully loaded with people. If, as you said, that I should do it again.
They're screwed. They will not open the back door.
Yes, it's also not really recommended that you cross at that risk when there are already cars stuck like that with the passengers. And then the water is not too deep that it's going to carry away. So the car has to be empty, not.
Yes, you are right. If there is some holes or something.
You have seen.
Yes.
So no passengers. Those passengers are adding more weight into the car, resulting into people getting stuck, the car getting stuck again. So the driver has to go by himself or herself, and then the passengers have to cross. Either they remove their clothes or whatever the case. This is why we recommend that below your knees. Below your knee is when you can cross. So there should be nobody in the car. This was one gross misconduct in this video. The next one.
We don't hear, Duku.
Yes, yes. If I don't hear also. What happened? And this one?
Yeah, now it's okay. The image, it looks stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, now yeah.
How about here? Okay, comments from this video?
The car looks like it is stuck very strongly. And if they have this chain that if there is a close tree or something, so they can pull it out. But in this case, they will not go out from this muddy. And even the standard of crossing these rivers, it has to be less than the half of the tire. So now the car it is almost sink, or so it is up to the end of the door. So it is sink. So it is very risky to cross water while this amount of water or level of the water.
Yeah. Okay. So in general, it's not even allowed to tow. We try to avoid that another Land Cruiser tow another Land Cruiser from the water when they are all in the water. This would result into destroying the clutch and other things, or even both cars get completely stuck. You see, if the other one is towing, the other one should be out completely in the dry area.
Yes, so, that destroying the car.
Yes,
both of them are stuck, and he want to get the others stuck. It is impossible.
Yes. That's why when we supply the cars come with what we call the recovery kit. And the purpose of the recovery kit is to be used on these kind of things, situations. Instead of you see also you're increasing fuel consumption there. That's why we put this thing in relation to the fuel consumption. This is situation. So you better use the winch and you help a little bit with the engine of the car, and the car could go out. The other car could be used as like a fixed point. Sometimes when we get stuck, we use the other car as a fixed point, and then you tie the winch and you pull out. So this is briefly on the off-road driving, and that brings us to the end of live session 1. Is there any other question, any other comment?
No comments. It is very good, and really we enjoy and we get experience. So thank you so much for that efforts.
You're welcome. Yes,
Perfect.
Khalid, you are mute.
Thank you, Doko, for this session. I would like to ask more about fuel testing, but this is I'll write it in the chat.
Yeah, you can use the forum, Omar, for asking the questions, and we can also. I mean, we have one. I mean, we added one extra live session in this LTT, so
Yeah.
we will have more time. So if there are things that you want to see, maybe we can also take advantage on the other sessions. But use the forum, because during the week, maybe there are questions that can be important for the rest, no, of the participants. So the forum can help.
Yeah, you can put it in the forum. We can also use it as introduction in the next coming session.
Yeah.
Or anytime. You can also send it to me specifically if you then.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make the wrap up, the recap for the whole session, and I'll post it in the forum, plus the small quiz that you can practice to keep at least your memory. I forgot completely. I don't know why. Normally, I said that during the session, you are supposed to take note of key points that either you have suddenly gotten something new in this training that you want to see that you implement, or something that you have been looking for, the solution, and you would like to also implement. So you go and think, just go and do your rehearsal. And then in the next, you'll tell me what was your experience and what are the things that the key takes that you gotten from this training, and you are ready. In the next session, the next 2 sessions, these I don't have to repeat, but I would like to see that everybody take a note of key things, key takes that you have gotten from this training and you would like to implement in your project or in your mission. So I will post the recap and the little quiz in the forum. Yeah. So Miguel, I don't know if there's any comment. You can close the session.
Yeah. So thank you to all of you for your attendance. It was very, I think, very participative, and we learned all a lot. So as I mentioned it at the beginning, the session is recorded. You will find it in the course if you want to watch it or see parts of the session that you want to review. And I will send by tomorrow the team's invitation for the next session that will take place next Wednesday, same hour, same time. And again, any comment, anything, take advantage on this month to go deep on the fleet management. Any question, we are available. So thank you to all of you. I hope to see you next week, and have a nice weekend. Thank you. Bye bye.
Ciao.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Yeah.